And we're now live. There you go. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Regulators. Again, September. Remember the old Walter Cronkite thing, Steve and Terry? September 24th,
No, I'm not that old.
2000. All
It's
right.
not that.
The news for
And we've got Terry Van Horn, SEO Pros, SEO Dojo, and elsewhere. How's it going this week, Terry?
great.
Got the sweater on. Back. Hockey season is back.
Oh yeah, the hockey season starting, end of baseball, got everything happening. Doesn't matter that there's fuck all on, got by baseball and hockey. A game every
And of
night,
course-
sometimes two. Three
And,
tonight.
and Steve Garrett, Sir Steve, the Ribbon Media. Wow, man. How many fucking things are there? It took me a year just to figure that out. How are we this week, Steve?
Doing outstanding.
Have we been staying up to the SEO forums?
No.
Well, that can't be good for you, man. Not at all. All right. Well, yeah. I hate to tell our happy listeners, but there just isn't the news and the things that we used to find all the time. I swear to God, one day, Terry, when I was going through Search Cap, I had to be like almost about to fold the whole thing. It was like, there was like hardly anything. It was like, wow, nobody cares anymore. All the old timers stopped ranting and giving a shit. There's just no one filling the void anymore.
Well, and there's no reason to write about, getting links anymore.
Apparently,
That's what the articles were about, because that's all the people could do. So there's nothing to write about now.
I don't know. There's still, little things here and there. Like with the Google now declaring all facts theirs. If you're one of those lucky people whose website is based on telling facts that are considered common knowledge, Google will no longer provide a link to you. They're just going to put the fact at the top of the results.
There's not a clickable link, but there is a link that shows the page that it came off of.
Yeah.
So
well, it's a slippery slope. I don't think it's changing.
Copy and paste, they can go to that website. And if they really wanted to go, Steve, beyond getting the information that Google has given them, I'm sure their arms aren't, painted on.
I understand, but it's a basic alteration of the implied agreement that we had with search.
Not one I had with them, because I never thought that stuff was worth doing.
Right.
It doesn't convert. All it is a cost.
I don't want to go down.
Okay.
Yeah. Regardless of which, it's still a slippery slope. I think it's still a slippery slope, and where does it end? Again, my father used to tell me the old parable of the camel, the camel that would stick its nose in the tent, and then its whole head was in the tent, then its neck was in the tent. Before you know it, the whole camel's in the tent. You know what I mean? So unless there is some sort of pushback, where does this end is what I worry about more than anything.
But we know that's the end game anyhow. So fucking learn to play with it, or you're going to be left out.
So basically what you're saying, Terry, is unless you're building a website purely designed to make money, don't even bother. Fuck off.
No, I'm saying we know that Google's end game is to do exactly what we're talking about. That's the end game. We can't stop that, right? So you got to learn to work around it. And here's the other thing. For SEOs, it's about driving targeted traffic. How targeted is that? If that's a person who wants a one-time fact that they don't even go to, take the time to cut and paste to go to your website, I don't think they were really targeted traffic to begin.
So here's the deal. We're going back to our good friend Dave Sacco, Cranky Dave. He has a website that for years, if not 10 or more, ranked #1 for how big is a millimeter.
Right. How much money has he made off it?
He averages 1 sale a month from that search result. Okay. Sure, it's not much. It's $100.
I hear you.
You know what? It's $100. And that's, he provided, obviously, what Google thought was the best search result was a link to his website because he explained
and that
how big the millimeter was in relation to jewelry and everything else that's out there in the world, so that you got a real good, firm understanding for those of us in the United States who don't know fuck all about the metric system, how big a fucking millimeter is. Now, when you go, how big is a millimeter? It's just Google.
Oh, so his stuff doesn't even come up. So what you're saying is his stuff doesn't even come up in the results anymore, even though it was #1.
Right. Well, I haven't looked in a while. Yeah, no, he's no longer in the top 5. But it's, now it's eBay. eBay is #1.
Yeah, who's put structured data or structured their data on the page so that
the point is, just because it's long tail factual data does not mean it won't convert at some level and make money.
I agree to somewhat, but in a lot of cases it doesn't. Because on a recipe, I really don't give a fuck where I get that information. All I want to know.
But again, Terry, you know what I mean? People that are building mailing lists, or people that are looking to increase social followings, people that are looking to do a whole wide variety of marketing initiatives, getting the person to the site can be important. You know what I mean? And this is just one more thing that's in
Let's take your example, Terry. Recipes. If everybody stops putting up recipe sites because Google's taking the recipes and putting them up there, where is Google going to get the data to steal to put on Google?
Because stop doing that, or to get them to get the information again. They can always use books that they, it's. I just don't see the big deal about it. Like, to me, it's,
you don't see the big
better
deal
for the user. I know when I go there to get an answer, I make queries that I know that is going to come up because I don't give a fuck about the website. Because all I want to know is that fact that I queried Google for. So I got what I want. And that's how 99.9% of the users using Google think.
Based on what data that you've collected, Terry?
Pardon me?
Based on what data that you collected, do you say 99.9% of the users?
They get billions of queries, right? So
how do you know
the number of people that would really care where that data came from and what happened with it would be minuscule, very low.
But you don't think people who created
Google's audience?
I'm done.
Okay.
Moving on.
We won't agree on that. That's all.
All right. So there we go. We've agreed to disagree, and we'll get the fuck on with the day. All right. Okay, so yeah, we have a question, so we might as well go there. And it relates to one of the stories of the week, which was the PBNs being de-indexed. Essentially, for those not in the know, basically it's private blog networks and people that are creating their own links and spam. Well, through spam. Okay, so and the question is, with the news about PBNs, I wanted to ask about how some people have PBNs that are hidden at the subnet C class. How can it be discovered? Anybody? Steve? You want to try that one?
Generally discovered because most people that own these PBNs aren't real bright. They're really good at building out simple networks, and what happens is they'll sell an article themed on a specific topic, and they'll say, well, we're going to post it on 10 out of our 100 blogs. And they're going to post variations of it pretty much all within the same time frame. And they're all going to link back to the same source. And then they're going to use 10 different ones. And you're going to start building this collection of data. I can usually manually sniff out somebody's private network, starting with just 2 blog posts. I can sniff it out in less than an hour. Manually.
Just follow the links, right, Steve?
Yep.
Well, you can also use the persona names. You can use some of these idiots even put the same analytics code in them.
That's a big problem with people who think this stuff is workable long term. They think Google is stupid as a fucking fence post, and it's not.
And then you've got, the fact that Google is a registrar, so if you've registered all those domains in your name, they already know all that. There's an awful lot of data out there. It's really not hard to dig out a PBN. It's also not hard to build one in such a way that it makes it really challenging to detect. The problem is people get lazy. There was a post this morning somebody was talking about had gotten an email from what they assume was a PBN network wanting to sell 600 domain names as a package. Well, my guess is somebody got their network blowed up and they just want to unload the domains. So if you're running, 600 domains, the odds are you're not running them under 600 different usernames, under 600 different domain registry accounts. The stuff's not hard to find. It's just, are you big enough for Google to care?
Yeah, I can sell you, 100 based on 4 themes. And I don't even do it for a business. I just do it as like a hobby.
Well, and again, we know lots of people that are still using this kind of, if it's blog networks or if it's just sites or whatever you want to call it, just, private networks. We know lots of people that are still doing it well and benefiting from it. But again, it depends on the model you're taking. If this is for a client or something, or if this is for a churn and burn, that's part of the deal too.
Right.
But guys that do it right, yeah, like you're saying, Steve, it's well cloaked and it's got many layers and levels, and generally it costs more. You know what I mean? You can't put them all on the same. You can't go grab yourself a co-located server and stuff them all on there, etc. You know what I mean? It's so much work to do it right.
The number one thing that gets these private networks into trouble is the fact that they never post anything they don't get paid for.
Yeah.
Instead of building each website and continually posting original content to it, whether they're getting paid to or not, which gives each blog a unique enough footprint that it makes it a lot more challenging to see when they're playing the game and when they're not.
Steve, would you agree it's a lot harder to scale that kind of a network than it is to scale what these guys are doing?
Yeah, the easiest way to scale that type of network is actually sell a product from that website, so you're actually making money whether you're being paid to post a blog or not. Become an affiliate, get really good at it, so you're making money on the front and the back side. And, oh, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that kills me is how SEOs really think that any blog network can be assumed private. Fuck off. If you know about it, it's no longer private. Private means, you don't talk about it.
Yeah, if you look in Q&A there, Steve, Mitch is also saying here's an example with kfcart.com.
Don't put that out there. No use in putting it on anyone. We'll talk about it. Don't want to help Google, right, Steve?
It's okay, Matt's on vacation. Apparently he was taunting someone the other day. But yeah. All right. That's Steve.
Yeah, this would not be hard to figure out because the website's called Kung Fu Car Tips, and the very first post is roofing in Columbus, Ohio. And it's not even roofing in Columbus, Ohio. It's roofing Columbus, Ohio. Seriously?
Yeah, that's, for me, I can tell a guest blog just by one that Google wouldn't look, just by looking at the home page. If the home page has 10 articles that are not pretty closely themed, as far as I'm concerned, that's a guest posting site. Avoid it. Because inside information, that's what Dave and I were told straight up when we showed to some Googlers specific sites. Correct, Dave? They assume every post there is paid for. Whether it is or not.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't matter. Edge cases, buddy. Edge cases. All right, so let's see. What else we got on the educational side of things? This is apparently introducing structured snippets, now part of Google Web Search.
Oh, and just because It took less than a minute, and the next domain in that blog network is bplauto.com.
It also has a variety of posts not on cars.
Yeah.
But these networks are hard to find, Steve. They're private. Makes me laugh. Like Google doesn't put things like that together when they index a homepage, and they're obviously trying to tag categories to pages, right? Or topic, theme, whatever you want to call it, right? Each one is applied to a page to think that Google doesn't look at that and say, this is useless. I don't know. I never understood how people thought that stuff would fly. I never got it.
Anyway, easy to...
All right, moving along. We're into structured snippets.
Ooh, structured snippets.
Yes, structured snippets.
Yeah, like I said, there's going to be more and more of this. Pretty soon, it won't matter whether you have. Well, I don't think it matters now, really, whether you're using structured markup or not, or
well, and that's the funny thing, is that this isn't as much about any sort of structured data markup as it is about them trying to figure out how to read the non-structured stuff.
Right.
So again, the structured stuff becomes the seed set for the training algorithms, and so on and so on. No, it's funny. Look at the name of the team, Terry. It's the Web Tables Research Team.
Right. Which is
that is not the rich snippet team. That is not the semantic markup team. It's the web tables, meaning they're looking at table data outside of the realm of structured markup. And I read about 3 or 4 posts about this morning, and they're pulling it from list elements, Terry. They're pulling it from table data. They're pulling it from a variety of non-marked up sources on a page.
Yeah.
But primarily, again, what I was seeing in a lot of the examples in the actual pages they came from was either table data or list data. List elements and stuff like that seems to be a lot of it.
Yeah.
Which is something we kind of been saying as far as the structured markup goes, is that Google's looking at the other elements too to figure it out. So.
Yeah, but if you're doing something and you're actually doing some sort of development. Steve may disagree because, well, I like to add it because I'm there anyhow, and it makes it easier for Google to do it. So, for me, grabbing a description of one of my products on a page, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Here some examples of it. Wikipedia, obviously. And again, they're picking it up from, in most cases, non-structured markup. Lots of Wikipedia as usual.
Yeah, but even if you look at the way Wikipedia is laid out, every page is kind of laid out the same, in the same format. Like the structure on the page, like for instance, top paragraph is an overview, and then it gets into a list of different things that they're gonna, it's pretty easy to figure out Wikipedia. I think that's why Freebase and a bunch of places use it as a data place where they get their data from, right? Because that's where Freebase gets a lot of their data from, augmented by what Webmasters and other people are adding now, right, Dave?
Yeah, it's just getting so tiring to see fucking Wikipedia being the only thing they're using for knowledge base. Okay. Yeah. Maybe one day.
They make it so easy to pull this stuff. It's pretty obvious that, certain things are causing that. And in this case, I would say it's the bolding and the colon, which basically says, something and value, right? ID, value, Not hard to figure out.
Yeah, again, I thought it was kind of interesting just due to the fact that we've always said that to a degree they gotta be, different engineers have said that they were having a bit of issues as far as the the adoption of the structured stuff. So, it makes sense that they'd be looking elsewhere.
Well, if you look at it, right, Dave, this stuff is going to be hard to get people to pick up. When you think about all the noise about authorship and the reason they eventually walk away from it was participation, Steve was right. Nobody's going to do this just for Google. Just idiots like us do it. Most people don't do it.
Just like slapping an S at the end of your HTTP.
Right. That just drives me nuts, because if you're doing that stuff, the secure, shows you don't have a fucking clue how the web works and how much more complex a website is that is running on HTTPS. It's far more complicated to build and maintain.
All right, back to the the Q&A. Let's see. One Deborah Mistaller asked, "Where's the chat window?" Not quite sure what you're after, Deb. But we have a chat window in here, so you can come in and join us to see that. Otherwise, I don't know. We got the Q&A, and we've got the. But she's, Bill Bean says, new sites. The new site search rich snippet in the Google SERP. Do you see this creating disruption?
Not
me.
No.
It helps in discovery too, I think, Steve?
It'll help a little in discovery, but the places that'll get the most benefit out of it are going to be the least likely to do it, simply because of the overhead of going back into the programming and doing it all.
Yeah.
Right,
AKA the larger site.
Huge for an e-commerce site, eh? That's what I thought when I read about it.
It's another one of those not worth the effort to go back and do it over, but might be worth the effort to do it going forward kind of issues.
Yeah, any site redevelopments and things along that line.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I kind of, a lot of the things, like when I see SEOs, running to put all their clients on HTTPS, that makes me sad, because that shows they aren't thinking.
Well,
and
not
they're
only that,
just making up services they can sell to their fucking clients.
beyond that, there was, and I can't find it right now, there's one of the SSL certification companies out there that Google has already said they aren't going to consider secure because there's a flaw in their hash or the way their encryption works. And while it's good enough for most people, Google says it's not good enough. And like I forget, end of October, even if you have an SSL secured by that particular company, and I wish I could find that right now, it's not going to show up as secure in Chrome. You're not going to get the little lock.
Yeah, but a gateway provider has no problem with the encryption. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
I guess, yeah. It's one of those, Google throwing their weight around. Fix this.
Yeah. It's not how we want it. It won't work with our stuff. So you don't matter. You don't matter.
I mean, theoretically, it's a good thing, because you want things to be as secure as possible, but only where necessary. I'm a real big fan of security for security's sake.
I mean, if your site isn't already secure and you're securing your site for fucking Google, you're an idiot. Sorry, I can't see it any other way. Like they said that site speed was going to be a ranking factor too. Anyone actually seen it in the wild? Not me.
Well, you look at Buffer. This is one of the links that Dave had, where they saw a 90% drop in traffic after switching to HTTPS. Oops.
Right, 'cause it's very complicated, Steve. It's not easy to do.
You know, it looks like there's a 4 or 5 day window where their traffic dropped to nothing.
Yeah.
The other thing, when Google announced that, Steve, they didn't even have the form to fucking tell them that you were changing to HTTPS so that it would work right. How fucking much thought was put into this? That's what I'm wondering. If the form to make it work isn't made yet and you're announcing it, how big a deal could it be?
It becomes an issue of there are way too many people involved in making the soup, and making sure that everybody's on the same page is a challenge.
Tells me Lefty don't have a fucking clue what righties do.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll stick it on the whole world of SERPs and knowledge graphs and stuff like that. Steve had one last week, actually. We didn't actually get to here. So, yeah, okay. So are these some examples, Steve, I take it, of people that aren't getting delinked?
Right. Well, this is back to where we started with.
Yeah.
If you have basically factual data, Google's just going to post it.
They do include, if you see, every one of them does have, it's just not linked, right? I don't know. I don't have a problem.
It's still linked. There's a link to Wikipedia. The issue, it comes back to, they're no longer a search engine, they're an information engine.
Right.
Which is a basic fundamental change in the implied agreement. So,
and again, it still points to this slippery slope of where does it end?
Right.
Does Google become a destination as opposed to an intermediary?
That's what I don't understand too, Dave. We know what the end is. It's not
like. Oh no, yeah, no. I'm not disputing the fact. I'm not disputing the fact that we have to be aware of it and prepare for it and be, smart. Because I don't think any of us bitching is ever going to change fucking Google's mind on how.
I think we can officially declare the end of the world when Google starts sending out all the Google CDs. It says sign up for your Google account, and they just start mailing them to you every week. Sign up. Because you'll have your Google account over your Google website with your Google Fiber, and there'll be the new
Google payment. Like, we won't even have gateways. Everything will be just bought on the search engine through Google. The wallet and everything. That's why they want a secure system, so they could do fucking distributed, e-commerce. If you don't see that as one of the reasons for doing the HTTPS, again, you're not paying attention. Just my opinion. That's what I said the first day I read that. They're going to do distributed e-commerce of some sort.
Sort of what? Of all kinds, man. Fucking Google Shopping, Google Travel, Google Insurance. It'll be, they'll have everything by the time we're done, man. Because that's it, So yeah, I agree with that.
European seat system for airplanes. Like, it's pretty easy to knock Expedia out if you own the system that Expedia was using. Come on. People are taking their eye off the ball, too. That's part of it.
I want my Google biometric reader that will automatically prescribe narcotics.
Slow
Google says I need more morphine.
Yeah. When I'm 80, I want to be on Google's Mind thing, where they have my head downloaded to Google, and they just shoot me up with shit all day to keep me going, and,
Well, that's it, Steve. It's going to diagnose me via my search history, of course, and my browsing history, right? Yeah, that's where I'm getting my diagnosis now from Google.
You're either suffering from Alzheimer's or pregnant.
Oh, that's pretty. All right, let's see where we go next. Oh, yes. This is one of the series. Okay, but yeah, I did enjoy this one. Yes, apparently the Germans want Google to tell them how their algorithm works.
If I was Google, I'd just send them the link I dropped in the Dojo this morning. Explains how search works. Don't need any more than that.
Wow, that was nice. Closed their pop-up. I closed their pop-up and I end up on the home page. Really, people?
Sorry about that. I should have warned you. It's not exactly
user-friendly here? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Okay, that's it. I'm out of here. All right, whatever. But anyway, so as the story reads, yeah, basically the Germans are trying to tell Google that they want to know how the algo works. I wish them luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
There's also, you know, the fact that the deal that was supposedly made with the EU, Google just dragged their feet and said, yeah, we're going to start all over. And that's what's happening. Now, they basically said to you and, you know, told them to fucking, you know, hang there. Left them hanging.
Yeah, what was that one? Let's see.
I think there's a link to it, too, from, I kind of put them together.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got it. All right, let's go there, see how it look.
This is old news. This is from a couple of weeks ago, but that's what the show's being
These days, that's no longer old news, man. There's just so little new news.
Right. Well, new news worth talking about.
All right, so let's publish the ECB one more from Google, or we'll see. Oh my god. I blame the Americans, Steve. Apparently, everyone's just suing everyone now. Even the EU's learning.
Yep.
Wow.
The lawyers are awesome.
So what is this? So what's the gist of this, Terry?
Well, like I said, there was a deal between, remember the EU said, you know, basically, we don't like what you're doing with the search where you're putting your own sites in there, okay? And they said to Google, you know, you got to do something about it. So Google made a proposal. Then the EU basically countered, and then Google basically said, stuff it, you know, and they're starting over. So that's how, you know, how toothless, you know, governments in another country trying to tell a company in another country what they can or can't do. Because in the end, they can say, fuck you, and, you know, don't want our search engine there, fine. Because you know what, those people.
Well, that's what I was thinking. How many people are actually in Germany? They'll just pull a China on them and go, yeah, fine, see you later. Have a nice day.
Yeah, it's not like people are going to go and use another search engine. They're just going to go to the U.S. site. Well, I guess they could block the U.S. site too, but I don't think that would go over too good in a democratic society.
Mitch Bozeman is getting deep on this over here. He says even if Germany gets the info, it doesn't matter. When SEOs figure out the answer, Google changes the questions.
Yeah, but Google has like probably 15 documents that tells how search works. I read them this morning as you know, looking for information on crawling and indexation for the, you know, Dojo chat this Friday at 1 o'clock. Nice segue.
PBS
in there too. But yeah, there's really good information there that tells exactly how it works. They're going to tell you how they decide to put their properties in there. There's no algorithm for that. It's we want it there. That's why it's there. Because it's the best product.
Yeah, I wish them luck with that. You know, that's good luck, boys. Okay, what else do we got this fine week? Oh, Penguin. Here we go. We haven't touched the Penguin this week.
Oh, Steve, you can go play Angry Birds for
Yes. Angry Birds needs penguins. That's all I gotta say.
Put up the beating the dead horse picture. What? Anything else?
Well, you know, I guess the question at this point becomes, you know, do we see a penguin with the holiday season coming up or what? I don't know.
It would be nice.
Well, yeah, for sure. It'd be nice for those who. It would be nice for those that have done the work to hopefully get out of the penalty box. But for those who didn't see it coming, it probably wouldn't be good. So yeah, I don't know. But really, what's the cutoff date? Was it like October 24th or something? Was 26? I think 2013 was the last one. So, I gotta think that the end of October is the cutoff point. No. Like, do you think they'll roll one in November? Certainly not December. I can't see that.
They can't.
Again, they refresh. Then again, if they refresh once a year, what does it matter if it's October, November, or December?
Yeah, but you can't do it in October because you would surprise too many people. Your search would be useless to anybody shopping.
Well, plus we also run into the problem of businesses buying stock based upon sales, right, Terry?
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
You run this thing in early November, mid-November, anywhere into December, and you're going to screw some people that bounce up because they're going to bounce up. Now they're going to have more demand, and their stock levels aren't going to be where they need to be based upon historic, sales up to this point, So.
Well, and then you got what happened at the Florida update that actually was documenting a number of businesses that were adversely affected by that. Because they ran the algorithm too close to Christmas. I don't think they will ever make that mistake again. That was the worst press I've ever seen Google get, where everybody was pushing back on them. Like, that was pretty, again, people forget that most of the guys who are making these decisions, not very old, don't really understand how business works, my opinion. That you buy stock for the fall in the spring, probably they don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Mueller is saying that he expects one in 2014, so for all involved, I hope it's sooner than later.
December 31st, that's still
Well, that's true. See, you can always roll it after Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what they did with the original Panda, remember, Dave?
Yeah.
We started seeing it shortly after the New Year. That's when people started coming to us with problems. So you can bet they saw that over Christmas for a little bit before they said anything.
Yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, it will be interesting.
It will be.
And who's to say that all these little updates that people are seeing now aren't them testing stuff and slowly rolling it out in pieces so as to not disturb things too much?
Okay. On a novelty front.
They actually have to tell us this stuff to be able Makes people rely on something that they shouldn't.
So on the novelty front, I know Terry liked this story. So we're gonna go here. Man, it's so wow. Even the screen share now, you got extra clicks and stuff. You gotta give it to everyone or oh my god, they keep loading the hell out of this freaking app. Anyway, so let's see, where are we? Wow, why is it down bottom?
Oh, I saw this earlier. This is.
So this was the.
Yeah.
So apparently, you no longer mandatory Google Plus account when you sign up. Well, sorry, a Google Plus profile when you sign up for a Google Plus account. So, okay. Someone asked, I think it was in the Dojo chat room or somewhere else earlier, that, what do we make of this? And I personally just said, I think they're learning finally. Opt in instead of opt out. So I think we should actually be, shouldn't we be praising this a bit, Steve? No?
Yeah, but
at least the fact that it's opt in instead of opt out, it's not really Google style, so that's something,
Yeah, it's a nice step. It would be nice if they were a lot more proactive about this type of thing.
Now, Larry Larry Kim does kind of lump in the whole shake up at Google Plus and this and that, and
Well, I think
tries to, I guess, light a fire that it's thrown away, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I didn't, personally. Google Plus is in the algorithms. It's definitely growing and used by some people. There are lots of detractors. And, I wanted to go and see the WordStream G Plus page. Well, what I saw there kind of tells me that they're more or less hoping it'll go away. That would be my just on it. But I think
how's that?
Wasn't much there, and not even all their posts were posted on G Plus, so that I could see.
Yeah, again, I still, how many years in are we with G Plus? I'm still not a huge fan. As far as I like it as a platform, but do I think most businesses are going to how often does any of us recommend that our clients with a limited budget spend for marketing? How often do we advise them to primarily, or even in any way, market and work hard on their Google Plus presence? I don't. You know what I mean? Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all come before G Plus in my book. In most cases. Again, if it's like us, Terry, and SEO, great. There's lots of marketers. If you're marketing to marketers, I think G Plus is a great place to be.
Well, I've seen some things that showed me when we did certain things on Google Plus or more.
Yeah, but again, that's
didn't do things.
That's using.
Plus, it hurt.
But that's using it more like the fire hose, though, isn't it? That's more like indexation, using it as a fire hose, etc., etc. I mean, actually engaging and finding new consumers, probably not so much.
I kind of compared it to like when a blog makes a lot of off-theme posts on it, like we've talked about, that becomes a panda issue, right? I think the same is kind of true of Google Plus. That the worst rankings I've achieved on certain site that I was using Google Plus, like really trying to figure out what role it played in the algo. I saw some things that told me if you're off topic, it fucking hurts you.
Steve, I assume you're telling all your clients that they should be on Google Plus and.
Yep. Everybody's been on every other social network and focusing 100% on Google Plus.
Yeah, that's usually my advice too.
You're lying.
Or cut.
For those unfamiliar, that's called sarcasm. Yeah, again, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in it. Terry, I agree with you as far as what you're saying, as far as, the fire hose and getting it out there and crawled and what have you. I think there's value in that. As far as engaging clients and finding new customers, and
to me, it has more value to Google than Facebook because it's got all the data there, whereas Facebook, it's pretty limited what they get actually. If you actually know SEO and have a look, you realize that there's very little of Facebook that Google can actually index. But, this, we'll talk about that on Friday.
Indeed. Let's see, I guess we could follow that up with this little video. Sorry, folks, it takes a while because of this new setup. Present to everyone. And yes, I'd like to present.
An expert on HOA.
Oh, yeah, look, I'm an expert, dude. Easily, yeah.
You can't be an expert on this platform. It changes every other day, for Christ's sake.
Oh, okay, we've got an update on this one. So apparently it's just a bug, so nothing to see here, folks. Barry was reporting apparently that the links to your Google Plus profile were no longer showing up in your knowledge graph stuff. But update, Google told us this was just a bug and that the follow button never showed for the signed out users, blah, 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 blah. So who knows? Alright, so much for that tinfoil. Wow, they ruined everything for us.
Steve, Google makes mistakes. Is that possible?
Nope, it's just a test.
Okay, yeah, they're testing. Google should have at the top of their SERPs, this is just a test.
Okay. Oh, here's another one. This one I brought along for Steve. Just for Steve. Yep. Because I love you, man. Okay, so yeah. Now, can someone explain to me why this site hasn't been hit by a panda or something? Like, Jesus Christ. There's my above the fold.
All ads. Love.
Oh wait, there's some. Oh whoa, what's happening?
Big ass picture.
Oh no.
Wow. Okay, hold on. Wow, stuff's popping up everywhere here.
Yeah, but
Okay,
you
sorry.
look at a lot of sites like this one, right, Dave? There's a lot of authority and link equity coming into this. I think they can get away with a little bit more. Same as Mashable. For me, I couldn't understand how, Mashable wasn't hit by it.
Yeah. So, performance-based hashtag SEO. I don't even know why that's there. Is it really risk-free? Well, Steve, I thought of you right away with this one. Do you not have some stories to relate on this for our wonderful viewers?
I actually wrote a very long, well, I shouldn't say very long, but a long-ish blog post about this very, very topic. There are definitely some pros to doing performance-based SEO, but one of the biggest negatives I can think of is at a certain point, if your SEO is not getting paid because he's not performing, his ability to stick within the guidelines is going to diminish, and he's going to start reaching further and further out into the black hat areas in an effort to make a little bit of money.
And of course, the flip side of that being that once your SEO does start performing and making that monthly check, the client tends to get a little disgruntled because they don't consider the front-loaded work that you had to do, and so now you did. I think you've had a few instances where you've had to now justify that concept, no?
Shit! If they're paying me like that commission, why would I fucking work for them? Just go build the fucking website, and it's
because not every product is easy to get.
Oh,
if you're a Google, for example,
I'll give you that. But here's why I don't like it as an SEO. Bottom line, I'm taking on all the fucking risk, and they are more liable to fuck up the sale than I am. So, never gonna happen here. And if you offer me that, the conversation ends immediately.
Which I think that's an interesting caveat too. That when you take on a performance-based kind of contract, you're now trusting their salespeople to be able to close that deal as part of how you get paid. So
the only way that it makes sense to me is if you become an actual legitimate partner in the business. Anything short of that, it's not worth the effort. I put a link in our little chat to the article I wrote.
Steve, if I was working with a client, right, that they were restricted by the budget required in their niche, and I saw that things were working and that I could make some money, then I would probably approach them and say, here, let's make a deal on this because you can do much better. You just don't have the budget to pay me as much as I would need to do that. Let's work out a deal. I've come close to doing that with a client, but they'd been a client for like 10 years. I knew their business almost as good as they did.
Right. No, it's just the risk is just so huge. When you look at any other form of marketing out there, whether it's print, radio, TV, billboards, skywriting, banners behind airplanes, any of it, you pay for your marketing up front. Period. And that's what we do. SEO is marketing. You pay for that up front. We do the best we can in the hope that we can drive traffic and business to your company.
Right, and commission-structured deals are for salespeople, which we're not involved in the process. So.
Right.
Now, if you want to make me a salesperson and give me 20% of every sale that I drive to your website, be happy to do it, but here are the rules. And lay out a very specific contract that lays all that shit out. But you'll find, as we did, that when you get to the point where your monthly fee is, high six digits, and they start complaining about how much money they're paying you, it's like, well, take me out of the loop and see what happens to your sales.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
So yes, at the end of the day, we do not recommend such things, correct? Yes.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't recommend.
I wouldn't go quite that far. I'd say 99 times out of 100, I would not recommend it.
But then I think.
Okay, so yeah, the deal has to be structured right, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it has to be structured fairly.
Hey, the first the first couple of deals I didn't get the money in advance. Didn't get paid either. That's what taught me.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. You usually end up not getting paid.
But hey, I was learning then, right? So I just wanted something to work on and real. So, when it was a big deal, but not as big as it could have been, as it would be now. Yeah.
We are running out of time here, so I'm going to have to jump through some stuff. For those listening to the podcast, check the show notes. For those watching, check the event page. I thought this was an interesting article. If either of you guys got around to it, I'm sure we probably didn't, but it was a guy on Search Engine Watch, is it? Yes. Sorry, links flooded in Webmaster guidelines. He kind of got into it. I'm sure both of you are familiar with the Google fanboy attitudes of a lot of the regulars on the Google Webmaster help forums. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The lily white, rah kind of thing. So this guy's talking to them, and he has a wonderful exchange here. Again, we're a little late in the show, so I can't really get into it, but I do recommend everyone having a good read of it. It was entertaining. Essentially, the guys just tell him, "What are you really talking about?" Because they're almost so paranoid over there that no, every link is bad, And Buddy's like, well, this is an interview and this is that, and he's like, how is that a bad link? And they're like, well, because you manufactured it. He manufactured it because he did an interview or something. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, they really were kind of weird, man. Like I just think it highlights some of the oddities that go on over there with those people, man. And sadly, again, it's the Google Webmaster help forums. And I think his point at the end of the day was that a lot of legitimate webmasters and people are going to this site, so take it with a grain of salt. But anyways, worth reading, folks. We got 5 minutes left. I have no idea what to do next. Oh, I know what to do next. I don't know if we'll get her done in 5, but let me check the Q&A real quick here. Someone else can check that. So this was brought up in the SEO Dojo Trading Dojo chat room this week. And it was the Moz's coverage of the search metrics ranking factors, which was
already 2 weeks ago, Dave.
No, that was in a Friday chat, and we beat the hell out of it. And actually, on the show, we beat the hell out of it as well.
Up on it because I felt sorry for him, but then
yeah, we beat up on it on the show, and then we beat up on it during the free for all on the Friday chat. And I think the point that the folks are making in our Dojo chat room on Skype was that they didn't beat up on this at all. But I guess Moz loves the correlation studies, but regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was incredible. Like there was even an article from Search Metrics. Oh, this is from Search Metrics. That would explain it, Terry. Look, it's Marcus Tober.
Yeah. Guys from Search Metrics posted on
the Moz, yeah.
Moz. Well,
yeah.
Remember when we were doing business with them, that was one of the things that made me kind of nervous was the amount of credit that they gave the Moz seemed a little out of place.
Apparently content is important.
Oh, really? You mean having shit on a page that they can index matters? Oh no.
Wow, dude.
As Dan said so wisely one time, how many keywords do you need should you try and rank for? At least one.
Yeah. I have no idea what to say about that anymore, but just folks really use your heads, man, and go read that study because it's a horrible
yeah. I think people nowadays, about 90% of the stuff I read goes into the category of WOT, waste of time.
Let's see. Mitch Bozeman has one more, I guess, before we run. He says someone asked him about the rel author tag and how it went away. They asked if they should change it to the rel publisher tag. I don't know.
Are they a publisher?
Well, you should already have the publisher on there anyhow with the author if you were a publisher. So
I think you just strip it all in at this point.
They are still using the publisher thing because that may become part of their what do you call it? Attribution?
Yeah, no, I'm sure, I haven't heard any discussion on it myself. I think at the end of the day, Google's still going to figure out entities on their own at the end of the day. I don't think that markup is going to be the way they do it. So. But, okay, so to the question, he also says, I believe it may help, but he sees no harm. So I'll go with that. I don't see any doubt. He said he doesn't see any harm in changing it to publisher. So, but publisher, yeah, it's a different tag. But I don't see it causing you grief. No, if you're worried about coat load and float and stuff like that, take it out. But I haven't heard Google say anything about the publisher code markup. So,
well, even the author code, right? I think there's still benefit to using it, because it gives you somewhere to link to from other, like for instance, if I was doing guest posting, the only place I'd link to is a G profile, right? That, because to do otherwise is probably to set yourself up for, penguins. A visit from the penguin. Because basically, name a link that Google hasn't said shouldn't be no follow to your site. In other words, if you know about it and you're putting it there, it should be no follow. That's basically what they said.
Yeah, I don't think there's any freaking rocket science to any of it, is there? It's just SEOs always trying to find their own edge case.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, there you go, folks. Let's see. It's now 1 minute to go. Anybody got anything? Or are we done for another week? I think there is other stuff, but I think we pulled it off for one more week. No more questions? No more questions. We're good. All right, gentlemen. Perfect. All right.
Just
everyone watching, everyone listening. This Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern p.m. will be the Friday SEO chat. Terry will be taking us back to the core of search, starting at the beginning of what can and can't be put into some sort of standardized.
That's all I really know. All the rest is just posing.
Well, because it's all conjecture. Or correlation. Sorry.
Yeah. Correlated conjecture. That's what I want. Correlated conjecture.
And everybody, don't forget, Google Plus ones are far more important than links now.
Yeah.
Wow. Don't know where they come up with this stuff. All right, so Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern, we'll be doing back to the core search, and we're going to look at crawling, we're going to look at indexation and all kinds of related issues, so be sure to join us for that. Go to SEO Training Dojo page on Google Plus, find the event there. All right, gentlemen, until next week.
Have a good weekend.
Go make lots of money.